Coach, meeting up here before the holiday break, before things break up a little bit, but they don't for your squad. Coming off a SoCon victory in the league opener against VMI, and then head to Pennsylvania later this week for the Wilkes Open. Before that's, I guess, the official end of the 24 calendar. Before then, the scuffle and some things go into 2025. I guess first off, could you recap how you things went for this group at VMI last week?
Yeah, I thought our guys competed well at VMI. I think it was refreshing for us to go and have a dominant performance. Like I had mentioned in my previous press conferences, our schedule so far this year has been brutal. I mean, we've wrestled, some of the toughest competition in the country right out of the gate. And so our guys have really had no moment to kind of catch their breath and get their legs back under them. And we've got some young guys that needed to have a good performance, needed to score some points and have some positive momentum. And I think that was able to, we were able to do that on last Thursday night at VMI. I thought our guys wrestled well. We were aggressive. We scored a lot of points, and I think some of our young guys got a chance to step up in a dual meet setting and hopefully set the tone for what's to come in the spring semester.
I think it was the first dual victories for maybe 3 or 4 guys. I know Bryson in his debut at 125, Stefan at heavyweight, and maybe Jerry at 157. He'd been in the lineup once or twice against some tough competition. Maybe just for fans who aren't as familiar with some of those names or faces, I guess Riley was in there too and got maybe a second dual win. Just what can you say about some of those younger, less experienced guys that are, have an opportunity?
Yeah, for our fans that have been following our program for a long time, obviously this year they're seeing a lot of faces in our lineup that they haven't seen before, and part of that is due to just the I guess age of guys that graduate that have been in our program for a number of years. Some guys that left in the portal, and then we had a couple of injuries, so it's kind of compounded all that. I mean, you've got a lot of guys that are getting their first opportunity to be seen in our lineup, but I think it's also a great opportunity for some of those guys to step up. And, some of those guys you mentioned, like Bryson and Stefan maybe, and even Jeremiah Price, although Jeremiah and Bryson have not been they're not new to our program. They've been in the program the last couple of years, but it's completely different when you get into the starting lineup and you're wrestling more of that that starting schedule than just maybe wrestling opens unattached and things like that. And so obviously it's a difference. It's a transition, and I think the more that those guys can be put in the spotlight and put in the fire, I think they're going to start growing, and I think it's going to be good for them. And I think everybody needs those moments where you finally get your opportunity, and obviously the competition feels a little different, but you start figuring it out, and hopefully they're going to grow from it.
Seemed like one of the more exciting matches was Stefan's pin at heavyweight. For those who maybe weren't able to see, just how did that match play out for him to get an important victory against a guy who's been in VMI's lineup for several years?
Yeah, I thought that Stefan did a great job of managing the match. He kind of dictated the center of the mat the entire time. He got a takedown. I think it was at the beginning at the end of the first period that kind of set the tone. Kind of went ahead there, and then late in the match, when his opponent was down, he had to try something, go for desperation, and Stefan was able to drop his hips on him and get the pin, and I think it was obviously exciting for him, but exciting for our team as well to see him, get bonus points and, get his first dual meet victory for us.
You mentioned you were pleased with the aggressiveness of whether it's turning decisions into majors. I think 7 of your 8 victories had bonus points, and I guess is that just staying aggressive even with a lead in those circumstances?
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, and in our locker room that we have to attack and take risks to win at a high level, and we don't want to go out and try to sit on a one takedown lead and win a match that way. We want to go out and be aggressive and looking to score points in all different positions, and kind of the benchmark for us is we feel like every guy in our lineup should score a minimum of 10 points in every match. And that's kind of the benchmark that when we go through the Mat Boss statistics after the dual meets and after the tournaments, if we're not hitting that 10-point mark, we get on our guys because that means they're not taking enough risk. We got to score more points. For us to reach our goals and be the team we need to be, we have to score a lot of points.
In your sport, what is that kind of evaluation and feedback like after a match with one of your wrestlers, with the numbers and video? What is that process like?
Well, we use a system called Matt Boss, and I think it does a really good job of taking the emotion out of it and just looking at the data. And you can see first point scored, number of points scored in each period. It's broke down by that, and then just looking at total match points and how they're dispersed over the 3 periods or even possibly in overtime. And I think that when you take and just look at that, the raw data, you can learn a lot from that, because then it takes the feelings and the emotion out of it. And so we always go over the Matt Boss report the day after a competition, and I think it gives our guys an opportunity to see just some of the straight numbers without, maybe some of our feedback on kind of what we felt or how we thought. It's just looking at the sheer numbers, and I think you can learn a lot from that. I mean, you can learn, just basically you can see kind of how you're wrestling over the course of a 7-minute match based on how the points are dispersed.
Coming up Friday, almost the entire team competes up in Pennsylvania at the Wilkes Open, a tournament that hasn't been on this program schedule much. How did that kind of come together, and what are you hoping to see out of the guys this week?
Well, it came together. It's actually the first time I've ever attended the Wilkes Open as an athlete or as a coach. But I wanted to do something a little different. I mean, we've had a brutal schedule like we talked about a lot, and I wanted to get a tournament or an opportunity to get in a tournament setting before maybe sending the guys home for a little quick break for Christmas. And there was 2 opportunities. I felt like this one was going to be a good one. Just kind of it gives us a wide range of competitors from different divisions, and it allows us also to take our entire team. And there wasn't a whole lot of tournaments this coming weekend where we could take our entire roster, and that's what we wanted to do. We want to take our entire roster and give everybody a chance to compete. We'll get hopefully at least a couple D1 matches for all of our starters, and all of our young guys will get some competition as well, and everybody can hopefully build and keep growing as we go into the Christmas break.
I guess heading into that break, just last one for me, just how do you approach the schedule with coming back from there, having the break, and then the scuffle? Is always that event early in January for some of your guys?
Well, our guys have to be disciplined over the break, obviously. The ones who are leaving and going back home, they've got to make sure that they're continuing to train and manage their weight and stay disciplined, because you don't want to regress over the next 7 days when they're at home for Christmas break. But it'll also be a good break for some of them to get out of Boone, spend a little bit of time with their family, get a little reprieve, and then come back motivated and rested and ready to get after it second semester.